I share my screen now. Should I wait for it?
Yeah, but I think we've got.
What's up? What do you think?
And also, Victoria, actually, you know what, actually, I thought, I think you book. Yes, and I just realized, because of the video, just realized, which is, you're gonna be
Awesome.
president next year, which means you should pick the team that you vibe well with. You don't wanna deal with people you didn't really, and you did not.
Okay, that was only. And I don't want like it's. That's just because I hate business majors. But at the same time, like if I'm going with that, I don't think that.
Like, actually.
Stop this
Not
over
really
here.
sure, but- Okay, we'll watch the interviews, but I think this might be best to read to me. We're the ones who have to deal with these people. Sorry, because we're going to have to deal with these people next year. We're, like, we can just pick these people and leave, right? So there are consequences the most for you, so I feel like it's totally up to you. If you feel like you find better with. Because liking someone as a person really affects how well you're gonna work with them, so.
That's true. You guys both like message me. Which one you guys do?
Yes, I'll go because we're watching both.
I don't. but you
I'll
can
go
go
and
into
tell you
the-
each other. I feel like. and then-
I actually do happen to.
Yeah, I think we have then.
All
All right, finally, it's
I got a
over.
bag.
Took
This is
forever.
supposed to be for JC.
Okay, let me
Is
bring
this
up
one?
the.
How many have?
I mean, I don't know, it's for, it was for JC. I didn't use them when I was there.
Have all of it?
Sure, why not? I don't know. I don't need them.
I'll probably not. use
I'll
all
see
of
you
it.
probably
Okay.
Sunday. Hopefully
Sure.
don't
You can
have
give
it.
the rest to someone else. I don't know.
But you don't want it?
Well, I mean, okay, you can take however many you want, I guess.
Fingers crossed, I really.
I just, they were for,
They were for me going to JC. I assume I won't need
I just
them.
have to do that.
Okay,
Like, I walk aside for like.
all right. I'm doing pretty good. on it.
okay.
Yeah, why we still haven't made it, but
Has it ever been like really bad?
I'm feeling pretty good about it. Like, I'm in the.
What do you do about it?
It's slowly
Like
progressing.
real
Yeah.
function. You know? I can function. It's just like sometimes it's really itchy. My nose and then it's like, sort of like, my nose bleed. Whoa. Cause like I itch it too much. Oh, okay. I don't know. I think that sounds kind of,
Yeah, and like.
too bad. You know, even though it's bleeding.
Yeah.
That's a lot of bad news. Yeah, I have horrible eyesight. I haven't met anyone with worse eyesight. Really? Yeah. Also, what's the prescription? Oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure I met somebody with worse. Really? Like negative 20. -20. That's basically blind. That's just blind. Like that's like you met a blind person. Like, okay, I've seen blind people before. It's just like, yeah, no.
Like,
I put on their glasses and it's like not anything.
Just like them. Didn't you like a stick?
Nah, it's probably not like that. I'm probably being stupid, but like they have the glasses that are like, like this thick. Like between like the nails,
No, mine are thicker though.
Really?
I mean, if theirs is definitely thicker than mine, so they're probably like under bracket. Mine are pretty thick. Also have like motion sickness. Tomorrow rules used to be great.
Oh, and your name reminds me of last Sunday's New York Times crossword where the theme was people's names people whose names end in en, where they use their name as a pun. So one of the clues was one of the clues was Massachusetts senator going to battle ? And the answer is Elizabeth Warren.
So mine-
And there's another clue was the great emancipator sharing URLs ? Is Abraham Lincoln.
Wait, but isn't it Lincoln?
Yeah, that's an
LLN?
Yeah, but it's the same syllable.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, you're in the best maybe archery.
yeah, but no, my name's a Chinese. Yeah, like just my Chinese. name. But I just worked out to be like. It sounds like an English name.
Yeah. I lied. That wasn't the Sunday. I think that was the Wednesday.
Hmm.
The Sunday was called, I think the Sunday was called soft options, and it was all the theme clues took the form of the word to start with S, of, and the word start with T. Hence the name S of T options. So they had clues like sands of time and school of thought. Spoilers for the NYT crosswords, by the way.
Yeah, you just ruined somebody's day.
Yeah.
This is recorded. You ruined somebody's night.
I ruined somebody's Sunday from like a few days ago.
Yeah. Or if they ever decide to do it.
Yeah, you know what I do on Sundays? I watch Twitch streamers solve NYT crosswords. That's
Oh
all.
yeah. Wait, it's actually a thing.
What? Yeah.
Oh shit, yo. I'm interested in that. Is the
Well,
category just like-
I watch Twitch streamer. Yeah, it's called crosswords. This category is crosswords. I watch Twitch streamers solve MITs because I can't solve MITs myself
Hmm.
because I don't know like words. Did you see Patrick's Fair box, Alex?
No,
It's the latest thinky puzzle game. It's like it's a game where you push boxes around, except the boxes are also levels, and they can be inside themselves,
Whoa. Whoa.
and weird things happen.
Oh god. Gem setter aesthetic. They copy.
Yeah, more like I copied them.
Sue.
Yeah, this is a long-standing genre, turns out.
Mm. Or just like chat. Instinct.
Workshoppy.
Oh,
If no one comes, I'm just gonna tell you how to use Tween again.
and also it's good to have a video on.
This is only for you. I wonder what the officer meeting was about, the one that I missed because I was too busy working on capstone level design.
After succession stuff.
Wow. I'm excited to be succeeded by me.
Whoa, that sounds more like a coup. You're cooing yourself.
Yeah.
CYS.
Oh my god.
As if that's just a weird way of saying keep it up. So encouraging.
Yeah.
Jake.
Hello, it's Jake.
Hello.
Hello, it's
Hello.
yeah. Hello.
We'll have some people joining on Zoom.
Yeah, we already have some people on Zoom, like Alex and Bowen.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
These guys sound weird. Almost like they do stuff in the GDC.
Yeah.
Anybody who sets foot in the GDC.
They have the same last name. Imposter much.
Coincidence? I think, yeah, because it happens.
You really had to meet second Alex Wong. You really had to meet second Alex Wong.
Second Alex.
Yeah, he introduced himself to everybody except for you at the kickoff
Oh, really?
in fall. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunate. using this and get. I can do that now. We start after get some time for people to trickle in. Maybe at like 6:10.
Yeah.
6:10. Enough time to place 2 Among Us's on r/place.
I don't think that's true. You only get to place one.
Shun the non-believer.
Oh, multiple accounts. Do you have just enough accounts to place one Among Us?
What?
Like you have alt accounts and you just use all of them to place the pixels for one Among Us. You know what I mean?
The French have fallen, by the way. The entire flag is just white.
No.
There's a lot of white on everything.
It's because something happened to where that the only color you could place is white. And so basically since France was botting their entire flag, the entire thing turned white in like 2 minutes. And then they tried to write France in the middle in really big letters, but now it's not France. I'm not sure what it's supposed to say.
That's so funny.
But yeah, it's the beginning of the end.
Wait,
Yeah.
I think that's funny because it's the flag of surrender. You know?
Historically, they've surrendered.
Oh my god.
It is really funny it worked out that way, isn't
Makes sense.
it?
Fabulous.
Historical, contextual.
Just pure chaos now.
Yeah. My predominant contributions to r/place have been supporting various small like video game communities I'm in, including the music community I'm in, which is cool.
That's cool.
And also placing Among Us's.
Yeah, we were in Proctor today, Matt, trying to put one up.
Oh my god.
We succeeded. Connor took a screenshot of it and then it immediately got deleted.
Oh,
Absolutely. Yeah.
that's hilarious.
But I've placed a few for Hassan, placed a few for Super. I have watched a lot of drama unfold, mostly from the sidelines.
How long is it gonna
Yeah.
stay up?
I think it ends tonight at midnight. I think this all like it turning white is probably the last thing that they're gonna shut
Yeah.
it off. If I had to guess.
Oh yeah, you get to see all the bots.
I'm so excited to see the time lapse of it. It's gonna be so cool.
It'd be really cool if eventually people could make the entire canvas white.
I think that's probably what's gonna end up happening, to be honest. At least like most of it will probably become white.
I want that to happen.
It'd be pretty cool.
I'm gonna contribute.
Yeah, I need to as well.
So cool. It's funny to see what areas get white first. Usually the center of faces.
Dude, and Osu was gone immediately. Osu and the bronies, just everyone ganged up on them because they couldn't do anything about it.
And Mason's name is also a possible pun for the
Oh,
NYT crossword. I was thinking.
Oh, what?
Yeah, Mason, there was a crossword puzzle themed around names that end in N,
Uh-huh.
and they were made into puns.
Yeah.
That's fun.
I was telling Alex, like one of the clues was like the Massachusetts senator going into battle, and the answer was Elizabeth Warren.
That's funny.
And then there was the one across the middle was the great emancipator sharing URLs, and it was Abraham Lincoln.
Those are clever.
Yeah.
Whoa, there's a crossword solver.
Yes.
It's so weird. Like you put in a clue, you enter in the length of the letters.
Yeah, that's because those like compilers use the same few clues a lot.
Oh, really?
Because they've had to make some of the crosswords. There's only like a finite number of unique, super duper unique ways to clue words most of the time.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I'm gonna give it 2 more minutes. And then it will be 6:10, which is an amazing time because it rhymes with 5:10.
Yeah. What else is it rhyme with? Right?
It also rhymes with 10
Oh,
and Bowen.
oh, didn't expect that one. Right. I want to hear more.
What's up?
This is a deal.
What's up? I'm gonna share my screen. Mason, this is only for you. Oh, host disabled participant screen sharing. That's unfortunate.
L.
My bad.
I guess you don't get to see it, Mason. You're just gonna have to imagine it in your head.
I'm gonna have to do my best to imagine.
You can share now.
I'm gonna think really hard.
Yeah, now you don't need to do that.
Wait, I actually.
I
just-
thought that said twerking for a second and I got really confused. Then I read it
yeah,
was tweeting.
optimize for video clip. We're clicking that.
Let's go.
But I'm not complaining.
Okay, this is the EGaDS tweening workshop. We're gonna talk about do tween and stuff. You like do tween? Who here has heard of do tween?
I
Wow.
Me.
Who here has heard of tweening, just like generally?
have.
Me.
Cool. So what is tweening? So first I have a getting started slide. Yeah, it's the cool slide. You need that unity, that one. It doesn't really matter which subversion, I think. It should work, I think. Make a 2D project, like in the picture, it says 2D and not 3D, or a 3D sample scene, or any other ones. And then get the package at that. Yeah. It looks like that. Yeah, looks like that. Get that one. Great, awesome. While you're doing that, let's talk about tweening. What is the tweening? What is tweening, Alex?
I don't know.
What is tweening? Me? Tweening is basically moving something. Is when you want to change a value from A to B, except instead of doing it immediately, you do it over time. So let's say you have your little comfy blob here. Wow, look, comfy blob. And you want to move the comfy blob across the screen over time, like that. Woo! You move, look at that, magic. And let's say we also want to do some more things like rotate them and scale them. Woo! Yeah. So tweening is the magical stuff that lets you do that. It's a general concept surrounding that. Note that it's different from animation in the sense that in animation, you're just like, this is what I did for the PowerPoint, right? I took the thing in a set position and I moved it to the other position and then told it to do that. But when you're tweening, the key idea is that you want to be able to do it like in code and modularly so that you can chain things together and change and control like exactly what you're doing over time. So let's think about how we do that in Unity. How would you code that if you wanted the blob thing to move from A to B and then do this rotate spin move thing? How would you do that? Well, in Unity, it might look something like this. Wow, it's a lot. There's like tons of lines there. There's like, I don't know, there's a whole like function at the bottom. There's like all of these variables at the top. And like, I don't know about you, but I don't want to code this every time I want to move something like from one A to B and then do a rotate spin move. I want to like have it be shorter, like ideally. And not only is the code like really intimidating and it's like a lot, but also it's really hard to change if you want to be flexible about things. Like what if I want the rotate move to come first and then I want the translate move later? I'd have to move a bunch of lines around to do that. Or what if I wanted them to all happen at the same time? That's really hard. Or what if I wanted to stagger them? That's really, really hard. So we need a better system than this if we want to be like all flexible and stuff. So this is where we have these magical things called tweening engines. These are systems of code built into your engine that let you write short things like this. Look how short it is. You just tell it what to do, like what you want to see, but over a length of time, and get it going by calling tween.start. This is a Godot. Calling tween.start, and then it does the move for you over time, and you can like check back in on it and see how it's doing, and like control it however you want. Maybe you want the destination to change or something. Who knows? You can do all that stuff really easily once you have the architecture behind it. Now, Unity doesn't have anything like that built in, but you can get a cool plugin called DoTween. Wow, it's almost like the topic of the thing.
Whoa.
Wow, yeah. DoTween is cool because it had like the free version has tons of stuff already you can use. You can tween values like we were talking about, and you can make sequences and put tweens together into one big package and stuff. And you can do lots of other cool things that we'll talk about in the demo section. So that was all the presentation section. That's just a basic overview. Hopefully by now your whole entire Unity version has downloaded and you've gotten the package and everything's set up. What do you mean it's only been 5 minutes? Can't you do that in 5 minutes? Okay, we're gonna move into Unity. Hooray, you should see something like this. If you don't see something like this, then I have a couple tips for you. You should see something like this. So just make sure it looks like this and you're good. Okay. Great. So here's how it's gonna be structured. There's 5 buttons on the side. Each of those corresponds to one thing that we're gonna do today. So by the end of today, you'll have done 5 things, and it will be cool because that's 5 more things than you had before now. So yeah. Great. And you should have this file called tween demo inside your assets folder when you import everything. And when you open tweendemo.cs, you should see something that looks like this. Can you tell I'm padding for time to get people to get the version of Unity downloaded? Better question. Does everyone have the version of Unity downloaded and you can see the thing in Unity?
I had it downloaded and I just started a new project. It opened and
Sick. Great. I hope you have had enough time to do that. Okay, we're going to go into the first thing. So the first thing we're gonna do, button number 1, you'll see under 1, we have this heart. And what we're gonna do is do something really simple at first. We're gonna take the heart and we're gonna take its color. That's for some reason on my other window. We're gonna take its color and we're gonna raise this so that the heart comes in. Woo, now we can have hearts in the level and stuff. Cool. So let's figure out how we're going to do that. And this is like very basic. How do you start using this thing? So we're going to go to region 1 in the code. We're going to do a simple fade tween for the heart. So we have the heart right here. I've already set that up for you. What's up?
Something you might want to mention is that you should have your aspect ratio on 16:9.
Oh yeah, if you don't have your aspect ratio 69, I mean, it probably works fine. I haven't actually tested what happens. But yeah, aspect ratio 69. If it's not, let's see what happens if it's not that. You know what? Let's do it. Wow, it's like that. Nice. Perfect. Yeah, 69 it is probably. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, if it's not 69, get that fixed. Cool. Okay. All right, so we're going to take this heart and we're going to fade it in. So here's how you start with DoTween. Firstly, you have to import this package at the top. I've already written that for you, so you can skip that step. But if you want to use DoTween, you import EGaDS, and then when you start doing stuff like heart dot, you should see a bunch of stuff here. All this cool DoTween stuff that DoTween lets you do. So you can see there's a bunch of stuff there. What we're looking for in our case is do fade. This is a function that lets you change the opacity of the color of a sprite render over time. So it takes 2 parameters, the end value and the duration. So the end value is what we want the alpha to be at the end. So since we're fading in, let's fade it out to 1. And the duration is how long we want it to last. So let's say we want it to last, I don't know, 2 seconds. So now we'll have a slow fade that goes from 0 starting value to 1 in 2 seconds. I'm going to put a little guard code here to make sure this only runs once. I'm just going to check what the heart's color is. And if it's 0, we'll do this. And that'll make it so that when the heart is like already on screen, it's already visible, then we don't do the tween again. So we'll just fade it in once and then we'll not fade it in again. Just a super simple if statement there to make that happen. But the meat of the operation is being done right here. And you can see it's a lot simpler than what we were writing before. All the other complex stuff. It's just 1 line. It's really short. So you can save that. And I'm going to wait here a second for people to write it down if they don't have it just yet. And when you go to Unity and press play, you should see the heart do a cool fade move. Let's go look at that. So we're going to, and really quick, I think I need to press that button next time. When you press the button that says 1, it should fade in. Nice. If that has not happened on your screen, maybe you typed something wrong. Not sure. Any questions about that first step? Just the very basics. Fantastic. Awesome. So that was the first thing we did. It's pretty simple. You got the heart to fade in. Cool. Awesome. Let's do something a little bit more complex next. We've got, so that's 1 done. Let's go to 2. So in under 2, we have a triangle like this. And when we want to, what we'll do with this triangle is we will, for some reason, my gizmo is like really weird, but we're going to rotate it like that kind of. So when I press the button, let's say we want it to rotate like 90 degrees, like it's a mirror or a platform of some kind, and it's going to rotate 90 degrees like that. And then if you press it again, let's have it rotate another 90 degrees like that, and then rotate another 90 degrees again, and then so on and so forth. until the triangle has rotated many times. Sound cool? Great, awesome. Let's figure out how we're going to do that. So open up region 2 in the code. You'll see I have the triangle and target rotation written down right here. So when we press the second button, we want the triangle to do a little rotation. So we'll track what rotation. The first thing we'll do is we'll track what rotation we actually want the triangle to be at any time. So we press the button, we know we want the rotation to increase by 90 degrees from where it was before. So I'll take this target rotation field that I have here and I'll increase it by 90. So when you each time you press the button, the target rotation will increase by 90 to indicate where we want the triangle to actually go towards. Now let's actually perform the move. So we want to operate a tween on this triangle, which is a transform. And tween provides many cool things for transforms. There's a lot of stuff here you can see. The one we're looking for is do rotate. So do rotate takes in cleverly a vector 3 instead of like a quaternion or something. Those are the Euler angles of your rotation that you want to hit. So in our case, we're in a 2D game. So if you're in a 2D game in Unity, you always put the rotation in the Z component. So we're going to make a new vector 3 with target rotation in the Z component. And that will make it so that the triangle rotates to that number of degrees in 2D space. Next, we'll supply the duration as it says. Let's say we want it to rotate. Let's have it do it pretty fast. Let's do 0.3 seconds. How about that? There's a third optional parameter here. It's a rotate mode. There's actually a few options in there. For our purposes, rotate though mode.fast will work just fine. But you could also do like local axis add if you want to like add the number of degrees, or world axis add if you want to do it in global space or things like that. So I'm going to leave this blank because fast will work fine for us. And if you save that, it should be a pretty simple line of code, and it will make the triangle do a nice rotate move. So I'll let you copy that down from it. Come back to Unity. If you press the button that says 2, triangle does a rotate move. Nice. You should be able to press it multiple times and see that it rotates appropriately, even pressing it like really, really fast. See? So we'll move on and talk about some more complex concepts while working with this triangle. So let's talk about easing functions. So let's say we want the triangles. Right now, the triangle's motion, like it does move from that point, from rotation A to rotation B over time. But what if we want more control over how it does that? Like maybe I want it to feel a lot snappier or something. Like right now, it's like it rotates, but it's a little slow with it. Maybe I want it to be a little faster, but I still want it to take this kind of time. So with do-tween, if you take the return result of a do move like this, one of these functions that says start to do, is always a one of these like DG tweening, tweener core, like all that stuff. But basically what that is it's just like returning you. It's just giving you a tween basically. Like if you set this equal to something like tween, right? This is a type tween here. And that's what it gives you like that, right? Now, what's useful about this type tweener core specifically is that it has lots of moves that you can append to it just by putting a dot after it like this. So you'll see there's a ton of more stuff you can do with this tween while you're in the process of making it. So one of those options is an easing function. You can do .ease. And basically what an easing function is it helps you specify what the curve looks like as it's going from A to B. So you can make it do more interesting things. Like let's say you want it to start off really, really slow, but then speed up towards the end. There's a whole class of tweening functions called that. They generally start with in. And then you can all have the opposite as well. Those usually start with out. And then you can also do both. You can have it start slow and then have it end slow, but then get fast in the middle. That's an in-out ease. So by default, DoTween uses an in-out ease. I think it's in-out quad by default. But you can pick your own easing function, and there's a lot to choose from. You can play around with them and see what they do. These are, you can search these up online. Like these aren't unique to DoTween. Easing functions are pretty well documented. If you just look up easing functions on Google, you should find tons of resources, implementations in basically every language you could possibly dream of, things like that. So if I want the platform to rotate and be really snappy, like I was saying, let's choose Outback. What Outback does is it has the platform go towards the rotation, but then it overshoots a little bit and then comes back. So it looks really poppy, like it sort of, it goes so fast into place that it goes past and then has to come back. So if we save that, just that one bit right here should immediately have an effect when we go back to Unity. If you press 2, you can see that the motion looks very different, right? It's the same amount of time, it's the same end rotation, but with a different function, it looks snappier and it sort of like clicks after going backward like that. Are there any questions about easing and like all the stuff we talked about this far?
You have a favorite ease function?
Yep. My go-to ease function, just like generally for most things, is in out cubic. Just the cubic functions are usually pretty smooth. I like the way I like to approach choosing an easing function is if it's like a color, you can use like an in-out quad or something lower power, like a linear could even work. If you're doing something with a moving panel, if the panel is coming on screen, you want to use out, and if it's going off screen, you want to use in, so that it stays on the screen. You can see while it's on screen, you can see sort of the motion of it. But if it's on screen in both cases, you want it in out because that looks natural. It's like start slow and slow. Yeah. They're all useful for their own edge cases, but in out cubic is a good default, I think. Okay, we'll move on to the next topic. So there's a lot more you can do here, right? But one thing you can do that tween is really good at is like tween control. So you can look at your tween as it's in progress and see what's going on, or you can check in with your tween when it's done or when it's like not needed anymore or things like that. So let's do something where, let's say if your tween finishes, like if it finishes and you want to do something, what do you do with that, right? There could be a lot of reasons you'd want to do that. Like maybe you're having something move on screen, and then when that thing is done, you want to put a player there. Or let's say you want to play a sound or something like that. In our case, there's nothing to do because I don't have like a sound file or anything like that. But we're gonna just make it so that when the triangle stops spinning, we're gonna print something just to the console, just test it out. So the way to do that is we're gonna add an onComplete clause here. So DoTween, there are a few ways to tween and DoTween can finish. You can either kill it or you can complete it. Tweens complete naturally if you just let them run when they reach the end of their timeline, when they reach the duration between completes. And DoTween will call a function that you pass here into onComplete when that happens. And the other one is killing, which is when you tell the tween manually to stop. You can do that in a number of ways. We'll talk about that in a bit. For now, let's start by implementing this. Let's say we want to print something when the triangle stops spinning. So what we need to do is pass a function into here, and you can pass like any function. Like it's just like your functions are variables, so you can just pass them in by name. Like let's say we want to call button 3, which is in this region 3. Let's say that whatever was in here, we want to do that. So you can just pass button 3 in here, and that's fine, right? You can also like I don't know, you can put in something that Unity has, like from Unity, like I actually know a good example. And what I usually do, usually when you put something in here, you want it to be like something unique that you don't have coded in other places. So the shortest way to do that is to use a lambda. And if you don't know advanced CS, if you don't know advanced C#, you probably don't know what a lambda is. So we'll start with that first. Basically, a lambda looks like this. What this means is these are, in the parentheses, are parameters of your function, of the function that you're defining. In our case, we don't want any parameters because Tweening doesn't pass you any parameters when the tween completes. So we'll leave that empty. And then we specify this arrow, meaning that, which is basically the lambda part. It's the denotes that this is a function. And then inside these braces are we're going to put the body of the function, just like any other function we write in Unity. So like you can put an enter here, and it'll do like that kind of thing. And I can start writing just a function. So let's just say we want to debug log hi. So what that syntax does is this, it defines a function like this, that contain that one sentence, and then it passes that into onComplete. So when doTween finishes this tween, it completes it, it will call this function for us, and we don't have to do anything else. We don't have to do any crazy thing where we like set a delay in a coroutine to like run it. We just let doTween handle it, and it all gets done. So if you save this now, I hope I've given you enough time to copy that down. We can come back to Unity and see that in action. So when you press the button, we should see hi show up in the console. I'll just bring up the console separately here. It's on my other screen. You should see hi show up in the console. And every time the triangle finishes spinning, you'll see hi, like that, right? Cool, does that make sense to everybody? Awesome. Now you'll see there's a slight caveat here. What you'll see happen if you click it many, many times at the same time is you get a bunch of statements instead of just one. That's a little weird, isn't it? Why is that happening? You get a lot of highs. I press the button many, many times. That's happening because when we start a tween and the tween hasn't finished yet and we press the button again, that button 2 function gets called and another tween starts. But if that first tween then finishes, well, that is a finished tween and it does call the function. But we're not really done with the triangle at that point, like in the game, because we started other tweens since then that moved the triangle further in the rotation. So we want to be able to control those first tweens to make sure that they don't call this onComplete function. So the way to do that is to use the other method utilize the other method of ending tweens, which is killing them. So let's say we call this button 2 a second time. At that time, we're going to have a previous value inside this tween object. It's going to be set to that, as you can see here, whatever we called the first time. So since we no longer want that tween to complete, let's kill it instead. So doTween gives us a good, I actually can't do it that way. I think it's tween.kill. doTween gives us a way to kill tweens by doing this. So you can call .kill on your tween, and that will make it so that the tween doesn't, that tween gets killed and its onComplete function doesn't run because it never completed, it got killed, I guess. You have to do a little extra check here because your reference to this tween doesn't get like nullified if the tween actually does complete. So probably what we'll do is you want to do some kind of extra statement like if tween dot is active, then kill it. I actually think that might be a method. Yep, cool. Yep. So you can see here, it will return that if the tween has done any of those things like that. If isActive doesn't work, you can test it. If isActive doesn't work, I haven't actually tested it for sure. You can probably do one of these things like is complete or is playing. Those are also probably valid. Is playing actually might be a good bet here. All those do subtly different things that you can read about in the documentation. It's actually pretty well documented, so you can see what's up with that. So basically, you kill a tween if it's playing, or if it's active, or if it's complete, or something like that. So if we save this here and play it in Unity, it'll work just fine. But there is a slightly better way to do this. Instead of setting it to a tween like this, right? We can take advantage of the fact that doTween knows what it's tweening at a time, and we can just let doTween say, okay, if there's a tween on that object, let's just kill it, whatever it is. I don't know, I don't care what it is. If there's a tween there, let's kill it. So doTween gives you shortcuts like this. Actually, I will keep that old code there so you can see it. So instead of doing this, you can do this. So we're going to take the triangle object. That's the one that we're currently rotating 9. Let's see, we have the do rotate thing. And we're going to call do kill on it. And what that will do is doTween the engine underneath, we'll look for tweens that are acting on the object that the object owns, and it will kill them for us. And we don't even have to know what they are exactly. And then it'll return a value that equals the number of tweens that were killed in that way, if you care about that, or you can just discard it like I am. So that will do the exact same thing as us storing the tween and then killing it later. It's just that we don't have to be responsible for keeping track of where the tween is at all times. We can let doTween do that. And it's a lot less error prone when you do it that way. So that was a pretty short line, so I'm sure you've all copied it. Let me save and check how it looks. So now you can see that if you click the to button many times, it should not spam you with hi until you're done. Oh, it actually didn't print hi at all. It was not doing that. Oh, there it is. It must have. Wait.
Yeah, you
Oh, there it is. Okay, my console is lagging behind, it looks like. Looks like my console's lagging behind, but yeah, it is working. Let me just put it here and then we'll see it show up. There it is. Okay, we know it's on time. Cool, awesome. All right, does all that make sense to everybody? The concepts of like easing and managing your tweens, like completing them and killing them, things like that. What other options does doTween give you? Well, there's so many. Like you can press dot and just see all of these things. There's a lot of things you can do. All of these set things do different things. We'll see a couple of them here in a second. But yeah. Cool. So now we have, that's 2 of them done. That's 2. Now we'll move on to third one. And this one's a little bigger, so we're gonna have a fun time here. Let's do something bigger. So here in 3, we have quite a few things. We've got like a line, a sprite mask, and some stuff, and 2 points. 2 points A and B. These are just positions in space. You can see them here. I don't know why my gizmo looks like that. I think it's just the screen. That's weird. Okay, but you should see like they're denoting positions mainly. So we're gonna do a basic panel enters animation. Not a basic panel enters animation, a multi-step one. So we'll start by having this line go up like that. I think that's the right position. I hope it is. So by having the line go up, and then we'll follow that up. We'll follow that up by having the mask, this mask, sprite mask. I can't drag it because this screen is great. We'll follow it up by having this sprite mask go that way to show the text. And then we have a panel that says funny. So the animations, it's basically just two moves. We're gonna move this line up and we're gonna move this panel over. Let's find out how to do that. So knowing what you know previously, how might we approach this? Well, we could just tell one tween to go up and then call an onComplete function and then tell the other thing to go that way, to go left, right? But what if we have like a lot more things to do where that sort of gets unwieldy? Like then you have to have like a bunch of nested onCompletes or stuff. And then what if you want them to be staggered? Then it's a little hard that way. So Tweening gives us a better way to do all this stuff, and that is sequences. So sequences are basically collections of tweens that you all want to happen like as one unit. So if you have like a multi-step animation like this where it does this and then does that and then also does this thing and that thing, then sequences are good to just sort of line up up, kind of like arranging a timeline of events. So, and the way to start a sequence in DoTween is to say DoTween.sequence. That's not how you spell sequence. So this gives you a brand new sequence. You can store that however you want to sequence type like that. And now we're gonna put some tweens in it. So there's two ways to put a tween inside DoTween. One of them is .insert. And what insert does is it takes this position in time and it puts the tween there. So that tween will start at that time and then it will do whatever the tween is. So let's say we want to start at time 0 by doing something like moving the line, right? So our basic tween for moving the line looks like line.doMove. And we have our A point, which is where we want the line to go to. And let's do it in half a second. And because I like it, let's do a set ease and we'll make this out cubic. How about that? So now we have a sequence that contains one tween in it, and this tween will start at time 0 because we specified 0 in that insert function there. And there's a second way to add tweens to the sequence, and that's by putting .append. Append is the same as insert, except instead of passing in a time, you just pass in the tween, and DoTween will automatically put the tween at the very end of your sequence so far. So if your sequence has like 5 tweens in it, whatever, and wherever that last tween ends, based on your specifications, it will put the start of the appended tween there and then move from there. So in our case, we want, after the line moves, we want the mask to move. So let's say we'll take that mask and move it. And we want to go to point B, which is the other point that I've specified. And let's do it in 0.5 seconds again, just because. And we'll give it an in-out cubic ease just for basics. And that will make it start slow and then end slow. Oh yeah, and you can go nuts. Like you can put tons of different stuff in there. Like you can put like a second. You can insert a second thing in there. Like let's say I don't know. We want the line to do like a funny like scale move or something when it comes on screen. Let's do like a dot insert. And you can put like a, I don't know, put like 0.25, just like crazy and stuff. Do scale Y. And let's just say we'll do like, I don't know, you can put whatever you want here. I think I scaled point A before, but it's not very clear what that is. So maybe you can, I don't know, you can play around with it. Like let's put a, I don't know, a 2, 2, 2. It's going to be really big if we do that. So I'm not going to actually do this. And you can make it last a certain amount of time and stuff. Right. And like it makes it, and the sequence notation makes it easy. Like you just comment out a line like that. And that removes it from the sequence because you no longer have that one. And like the rest of the things work because it's all like appending to the sequence. You can do dot this and then dot this and then dot this over and over again. Right. Cool. Does that make sense? All of that sequence manipulation stuff. We can see it in Unity here in a second. Awesome. Let's see if it works. It should work like the basics should work, right? So let's say you press the button, comes on screen, and then the mask goes across there. And so it's funny. You can do some more maintenance stuff. If you want the tween to play a second time, you probably want like a leaving animation, like the thing goes away first. But you could like at the top of this, like reset everything. You want it to play a second time. So I have a start position and mask, and I have 2 start position fields here, specifically for doing that. So if you want to reset everything back to what they were before it happened, so you can press the button again, you can just do that at the beginning and it should work. Keep in mind that if you are doing this here, it's possible if you press a button multiple times, the other tween, that sequence is still running on them. So you probably want to kill that one. So you could do like line.doKill and then also mask.doKill, right? But like understandably, if there's a lot of different things you're tweening, this gets cumbersome because you're writing so many things here. Right? Because you could have like a line and a mask and like a second line and some text and some this, that, this. And that's a lot of things to write doKill to. So one thing you can do in doTween is you can package all that, because the beauty of a sequence is that it's just one tween, right? And killing the one tween in the sequence kills everything in the sequence. So you could do that thing from before where we set like this tween equal to this and then kill that. But another way you can do it is by giving it an owner and then having the owner kill everything. So let's say we want ourselves to be the owner. So I'll write this.doKill. And in order to tell doTween that we want to own this sequence, I'm going to append a set target thing here. Target is one of the other options you can throw in here. And what set target does is it tells doTween what the thing is tweening over, so that the tween can be killed if you kill the tweens running over that thing, this stuff you kill that. So I'll just pass ourselves here. And so that will make the this.doKill line work properly. We'll go over set target a bit more later. There's another thing in here. We'll need to do that in order to make it work without throwing weird errors and stuff everywhere. Cool. And one final thing I will note about sequences, and this is actually pretty powerful. Like you could, this is one reason to just this could be like your reason for using sequences, just like generally, is you can do something like append callback or insert callback. And what that does is when this doTween reaches the point in the sequence where it's trying to put this thing, instead of running a tween, it'll call whatever function you want to call. All right, so we can write a function here like all lambda notation and stuff, right? And I'm going to omit the braces there because if it's one line, you don't actually need them. To remind you from before, it looked like, where is it? Our other lambda looked like this, and then we had the 2 braces here. But if you're not doing more than one operation, you can shorten things by removing those and just putting, oh, that's not the right one. You can shorten that by putting the one line right here without any braces at all. And that makes it really short like that. And so that what it'll do is it'll call this function when this end of the sequence is reached. And you don't have to do it append callback. You can also do insert callback, right? So if you do insert callback, then you can specify whatever time you want to do it. So maybe we could do it like, I don't know, 0.5 seconds. You could even do it like way past the end, like 2 seconds. And it will call it at that time and things like that. I'm gonna leave this at 1 second. And that's powerful because you generally, like, there's a lot of situations in Unity where you want to run a function, but after a certain delay. And like you could set up, like it's not too hard to set up a basic system where you make a helper function that lets you do that. But do tween, when you have a sequence, just gives it to you for free. You just put a callback in a sequence and it does that for you. So you can see that in action here. We can press play and we can turn the we can bring the thing on screen and we'll see the word funny get printed in the console at the time we specify, which is after 1 second. And if you press the button multiple times, it should restart the animation because we have all the other code set up there to do that properly. Any questions about sequences just overall? Cool. Hopefully that's giving you a better sense of like how powerful it is, because you can do a lot of stuff with sequences that you couldn't do before. You can code. I've hard coded entire cutscenes in a do tween sequence. It's pretty fun. It's possible. Right. So we'll close those regions of code. Next up, lesson number 4. Let's do some kind of full screen. Let's do some full screen effects. Right. So let's say we press the button 4. It's something like really impactful. Like let's say you're playing Brick Breaker and you broke a brick. Oh my God, that's amazing. So we want to give the game some juice by having like do a little screen flash and like do some screen shake and cool things like that, just to give the moment a lot of impact. So inside object 4, I have the camera in the background. And we're going to operate over these objects in order to make that happen. So in order to do that, we'll use a couple of special kinds of tweens, and I'll showcase like cool things that do tween can do for you. These are more obscure things. So let's start with the flash, right? So when we have the screen flash, right, we're going to start at, what we want to happen is this, the background is currently this color, the background color there. And we want the background color to immediately, like instantly change to the flash color and then slowly fade back to the background color. That's how you do a screen flash, like that. So what we could do to do that is we could take background and set its color immediately to flash color. That will start the thing operation. And then we'll bring it back by doing a background.doFade. Not do fade, do color. Fade is for alpha, color is for the actual color. And we'll bring it back to the background color. And we'll do it in 1 second. And I'll show what that does just for anyone who's confused about what the effect actually is. Hope you got the code, but it should look like this. Bam, like that, little flash. Now, one slightly annoying thing here, and actually, like you might not think this is annoying, but it's annoying if you do a lot of these, is that we have to store what the original color is in order to go back to it. We can't just set it to that color and then, like, we can't just set it to that color in the editor and then not put it here, but know what it is. So let's say we don't want to have this. We don't want to store it like that. What do we do instead? Well, doTween gives us a great way to do that still. So instead of doing this, I'm actually going to comment it out. We can do it by at first we'll start by pretending that we're going to go to the flash color. So we'll do a tween like this. And so what that tween would do right now is it would just start at the current color and then move towards the flash color. It's the opposite of what we want, right? But we can invert it. We can actually invert it by calling from like this. And what from does is it converts the tween into what's called a from tween, which is where instead of that color being the color you want to go to, it's the color you want to come back from. So in effect, it inverts the tween so that your color currently is what it's going to end at, and this is the starting color. And it's still going to last one second. So if you save that and come back, hopefully there's no compile errors when I commented out that thing. There is a compile error. Ah, perfect. I will just take the comment out here. This is, I think that's because I set that thing in the start function at the top. We'll just leave it like that. And you should see that it does the exact same thing. Yep, like that. And we haven't specified at all that what the starting color should be because we already have that set and Tweening wrote it for us. And there's a slight caveat here. If you press the button multiple times, and as always, it does, your tweens kind of break when you press it multiple times, you do special things. You can see the color of the background is no longer the same as it was before. Why did that happen? Well, it's because DoTween reads the current color of the background to know what to go to in this from tween. If we're not giving it an end time, we're giving it a start. So if the color that we're starting at, if the color that the background is when we call this tween is wrong, then the tween won't act correctly because it won't go back towards the other color that it should have been. So what we need to do is do some tween management so that the background returns to its original color before starting this thing. And the way to do that is to complete the tween. So the tween is going from the flash color to the background color. So if we tell the tween to, if the tween completes, right, then the background is at the original color. And then if we call the tween, this tween again, it'll go back to the flash color and it will do the correct move. Now, ordinarily, to get a tween to complete, you just have to sit there and like wait, right? That's why pressing the button like periodically without pressing it very fast works, because the tween has a chance to complete before it does this. But DoTween lets us force a tween to complete by calling do complete. This is like do kill, but it's like the opposite. It's like do complete. It's you just call do complete instead. And what it does is it tells the tween to immediately go to its final position. And if you had any onComplete function set there, that would run too. So if you save that, you should see that when you press the button multiple times, it'll work again. And that's because in between the frames where, like in between your button presses, it's setting the color back to its end value, which in your case is the background color, and then resetting it back to the flash color to start a new tween. So if we play it, you should see it work properly. Just demo that for the audience at home. Bam, it goes back to the background color like we want it to. Any questions about how that works? Is that clear? Does that make sense? There is a subtle difference between like killing the tween and completing the tween. In this case, we want to complete the tween. Awesome. Now let's say you really want like game juice and you don't think your flash is enough. You want the screen to shake also. You want like some quaking power and stuff. So now our flash is working. Let's go to the camera and see what we can do about that. So DoTween has this amazing shortcut for shaking something called do shake position. It's literally in the name. It's perfect. So we take the camera and we call this function and we can do all that stuff. So we need a duration. It's like how long we want the shake to occur. So let's say we want generally you don't want shakes to be that long, otherwise like really overkill. So let's do like 0.3 seconds of shake. Then we're gonna have a strength value. This is like how much the camera will move when you shake it. And generally you don't want that to be super high either. So we're gonna do 0.5. How about that? And then there's a vibrato setting. That's generally how quickly you want your camera to move around and like be sporadic and stuff. Let's do a high value, like 100 for that. And we'll leave the other things at the default. So if we do this, then what will happen is the camera will start from its position, and then it'll do some shake at this thing, and it will slowly go back to its original position. Now you might be able to see where this will go wrong. It's kind of similar to the background thing. But if we go to Unity, you can press this button and it does a camera shake like that. Perfect. Have you noticed what can go wrong? Yeah, if you press the button many times. Might be hard to see with the camera shake so low, but the camera starts to drift. It was doing it more last time. Like you could see, like the camera was drifting down. You could see the green line at the bottom. Yeah, there it is. There it goes. Camera's really moving now. So this is really the same problem as the background, right? It's because the tween references your current position to know where the camera needs to end at, right? Same as the background color. That background thing references your background's color to know what to go to at the end. So in order to correct the position when we're writing tweens over and over like that, we want to complete the previous shake tween so that the camera returns it to its original position. So that the next shake has the right base position to go from. So if you save that and then replay, I hope you all copied that down. It's just a do complete. So I'll put it on screen again. Yeah, that's it. Do complete. All this is pretty simple. Like all these fixes are one line and stuff. Generally in do tween, if you're trying to wrangle with it really hard and like you have to write multiple lines to get a tween to work, generally there's probably an easy way to do what you're doing. And now if we are clicking spam, the camera hasn't drifted at all. It's still in the same place it was before. So that's cool. You have a camera shaking and you have a screen flashing. I do want to share one pro tip. Here's a pro tip. There's another way to shake the camera that less people know about. And that is by doing like a spring animation, right? So if you take the camera position, imagine like moving it down, right? Or moving it in some direction, and then simulating like a spring between it and the original position, and it just sort of wobbles like this, right? I know on Zoom you can't see me hand gesturing like that, but it's sort of like if you push the camera down and then it like wobbles, it goes up a little bit and then down, back down, back up, back down until it like eventually reaches its current position again. And that's usually pretty good if you have like a shake and you want it to be like directional. So like let's say a character like slams on the ground or like downward attack or whatever. And you want the camera shake to sort of like follow that motion. So you'll push the camera down and then shake it up and down like that. Do tween gives you a good way to do that too. It's not directly on the main camera. You have to go to its transform. But you've got a function called do punch position. And this is what we're talking about, right? So we move it, we punch the object in a certain direction, and then we let it wobble back in place, basically. So let's punch our camera down. Let's say we are doing that slam move, right? Let's punch our camera downward by the same strength that we had before. So our strength was 0.5 before, so we'll pass it we'll multiply the down vector by 0.5 to punch it down by that amount. We'll keep the duration the same. We'll do that. And for vibrato, we'll still do a high value, but we won't do as high. We'll do 25. And one last caveat you have to know is that now, since we're operating on the transform rather than the main camera, instead of doing main camera do complete, we need to do main camera dot transform dot do complete. Otherwise, that same thing from before wouldn't work because the object that we're operating over has changed. So if you save that and then go back, you should see this nice, funny little downward punch shake. There we go. So now instead of wobbling around everywhere sporadically, it does it sort of in a isolated direction. That's another way to do your camera shake. That kind of motion, that kind of spring motion is good for lots of other things too. It's good for example, water physics. Like if you jump into water, you can do some spring stuff to keep you at the surface. It's good for like just generally if you like have something that like if you have a block and you want to like, I don't know if you play Gym Center, but when you click the blocks in Gym Center, they do like a little squishy thing and then like they like wobble, like squash and stretch kind of. It's good for that too. So you can punch it to like a scale that's like rectangular and then let it wobble. It's like that. A bunch of other things like that. Springs, it's pretty cool. So there's two ways to shake your camera. You can pick your favorite when you're doing that. Any questions about any of that? Those are all demos of tweens that like reference your current position, so you have to complete them, things like that, you know. You get the theme. Awesome. Now we're on the final step, button 5. Aren't you excited? We've gone through 4 buttons in one way. All right. Now we do something that's like very practical. This is something you've probably done before. We're going to make this line of dialogue appear on screen. Like, you know how in every visual novel or whatever, you have dialogue and it scrolls character by character on screen, right? And you have like the little like Animal Crossing bleep noises where the characters sound like they're speaking. Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So we're gonna have it do that. So we got some text here, a line of dialogue that I wrote, and it's very clever. Look at my writing. My writing skills is great, amazing. And we got a little continue arrow that doesn't really do anything, but we're gonna draw it anyway. And we're gonna do some tweens over these 2 things, and we're going to get that to be all cool and stuff. Great, awesome. So let's say we're going to do this. So what we want to do is we want to take the text and we want to tween the number of characters on it, right? And you might initially go like, okay, is there a way to do that? Text dot, I mean, there's a bunch of these. I don't see anything like do text, right? You want like a, you know, so kind of do text or do something. There isn't one. And you can buy premium. DoTween Premium has them, but you don't need DoTween Premium to do this. There's another way. Anytime you want to tween something that DoTween doesn't give you access to just as a shortcut immediately, you can do it yourself. It's actually pretty easy. We start a tween by doing DoTween.to. This starts a new to tween, which again is the opposite of from tween. It's just the same as the tween we did. It starts a do tween, and we're gonna pass in here. So you can do this overload as a getter and a setter. We're gonna do the one at the bottom here in this number 16, which has a setter function there. We specify the start value and the end value. So here's what we start at, here's what we're gonna end at, and here's how long it's gonna take to get there. And so how this is different from other tweens is that instead of telling DoTween what you want to tween over, you tell it, I want of just an arbitrary abstract value to go from here to there. And then I want to do whatever I'm going to do with it, right? So let's just leave that setter blank for a moment. And let's think about what we want the text tween to do, right? So we want the text to go from having no characters on the screen to all the characters on the screen. So the abstract value you want to change is that number of characters, right? And we want that to go from our start value is 0. We want no characters on screen at first. And then when we finish, we want all the characters on screen. So that's accessible inside. It's going to be length. That's the number of characters on the screen. And then let's make our duration. You can put the number here doesn't matter too much yet because it doesn't mean much yet. So I'm going to put 50 and you'll see why it's so high later. So let's address this setter. What exactly is a setter? Well, what we want is to give Tweening a function. The function is going to take in one float argument. That's the number that Tweening wants to set our abstract number to. And then the function's body will be us using that number to do whatever it is we're trying to do. So let's start a lambda function. Let's open a lambda. And it's going to have one parameter. Let's call this num characters. How about that? And num characters is the number that's changing from 0 to text.text.length. So, okay, let's say Tweening is called the function and it says, we want, you have said you want this number of characters on screen at this time. Now, what do we do with it? Well, in Unity, you can tell your text mesh to show a max number of visible characters like this, text.max visible characters. And in our lambda function, let's set that to the number of characters that Tweening said. I'm getting a error there for some reason. Oh, yes, I forgot about this. Because max number of visible characters is an int and Tweening is giving us a float, we're going to put it in, we're going to cast that to an int like that. And I'm going to put an enter here so you can see the whole line there. Cool. So what that will do is it will take the number of characters and it will increase it over time. So each time that function is called, we'll set the max number of max visible characters to a new value that keeps going bigger. And that's going to give us the effect of the text scrolling on screen. I'll give you all a bit more time to copy that down. It's a bit of a long one. And so if you get demo in Unity and press the 5 button, nice. It's really slow. That's because I put that 50 there before. You remember when I put that 50 for the duration? Yeah, that 50 is really slow. But I put that 50 there for a reason. It's because typically when you're doing dialogue in the game, you don't want the amount of time that the text scrolls on screen to be constant. You want the speed to be constant, like the amount of characters per second that scroll on screen. And so longer lines of dialogue take longer to show up than shorter lines. Tweening is so smart that they gave us something for that. It's called set speed based. If you just put set speed based at the end of it, it will turn that 50, instead of 50 being a time number, it's now a speed number. So this Tweening will increase from 0 to text.length, not in 50 seconds, but at 50 units per second. And it will calculate whatever time that means by itself. So with the super simple addition there, we can press the 5 button and boom, dialogue scrolling. It's perfect. Maybe you want your dialogue to be a little slower. You can do that. It is slowing down at the bottom. That's again because of Tweening's default easing function. So you can fix that as well. We will set the ease. You probably guess what we're going to do. We're going to set the ease to a linear like that, so that it's a constant speed as it's text scrolled on the screen. And next, we'll handle that completion error, right? You know that error that shows up when the text is finished scrolling on screen? Let's handle that. So when the tween starts, we're gonna make the arrow disappear because a new line of dialogue is coming. So I'll take the arrow and set the game object deactivated like this. And then inside the tween, we'll wait for our dialogue tween to be finished, i.e. we're gonna put an on-complete here. And when the tween is done, we will reactivate the arrow. That's not false, that should be true. So that will handle the completion arrow. So the arrow will start off, and then when everything is scrolled on, it'll be up again. Cool. And so one of the things you could do, right, and I'm not going to demo this, but you could do this, is the effect where when you press the button while the dialogue is coming on screen, it forces everything to be on screen immediately. And you could guess how to do that, right? Because we have a tween here, and what we want is for the tween to be done immediately when we press the button. So we would call .complete on the tween in order to get that to work. Now, currently, there's no way to do that unless we put a tween thing here, right? But like I was saying before, if you want to fix that, fix doing that, what you can do is set the target. So if we let ourselves be the target here, then if you ever wanted to complete the dialogue, you could just call this .complete, .doComplete. And that would make, obviously don't put this here, this is not the same thing, but that would make this dialogue scrolling tween forcibly complete. So you can call that whenever you say press the space bar while the dialogue is going on screen. Just a basic use case for that. Another one. Now there's one other thing to know about, like generally, if you do a .to tween like this, you pretty much always want to do .setTarget, because by default, .to there's no target because you're not calling it from any given object. You're making some kind of abstract arbitrary thing, and so it doesn't have an owner unless you tell it to have an owner. So you pretty much always want to set the target to yourself when you make a to tween. But what you also want to do is call set link, and this will make it so that DoTween knows what object the thing is tweening over. So if the object for some reason disappears or goes away, DoTween knows about it and can just get this tween to destroy itself before it calls the object when it's in a state of not being existing. So in this case, what we're actually tweening over is the text, right? We haven't done that directly. We haven't done like a text that do num characters or something like that. But we are changing that text thing. You can see the references in there. So we'll drop that text as game object here inside link, so that if that game object ever goes away for some reason, then this tween all goes away with it. They're linked in that way. And that generally you do that to prevent weird bugs where when the tween does get destroyed, the tween freaks out for a bit, kind of does that. Cool. That was a lot more lines than the other ones, but most of that was just setting up between, setting up some options and making things work right. So now if we save this and go back to Unity, you press this button. Now the dialog appears on screen at a constant rate, at a reasonable speed. And the arrow appears quickly. And if you press it multiple times, like just that, yeah. You'll notice that as I'm pressing it multiple times, the arrow appears like that. That's because we didn't do a to kill thing. That's fixable. You can kill the tween, the old tween, at the same way we were doing for the other ones. I'll demo that right now. Since we set the target, it's pretty easy. Just do kill. I will actually do that before setting the arrow to active because that arrow is referenced inside the tween. Cool, and that's probably that there is probably the shortest you've ever written a dialogue scrolling code before. If you've ever done that before, you probably know like it's a whole big coroutine thing where you're appending characters to a string and stuff like that. But if you just do this with do tween, it's super easy. Any questions about that? Any questions about using .2 and what it does and how it's cool and stuff?
What other situations have you used that to?
There's a lot of situations. So let's say I'm here, right? And I have some value. And I want that value, that thing value to change from 0 to something, right? Over time. Obviously, do tween doesn't give you a shortcut. Like you can't just do like this do thing, right? And then it'll prove that value. So if you want to do that with that thing there, you can do a .2, right? I've done it for, substring, right? That game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Substring has those circles. When you press the thing bar, the circle goes. So Junie doesn't have those by default, right? I use a line renderer and I change the line renderer's width and stuff. But the radius of the circle, like line renderer doesn't have a notion of a radius at all. So what I do for that is I have a radius float inside the script, and then I do a do tween.2. And when the rate in that function, I change the radius value that's in the script, and then I redraw the line.
What does do thing do?
It doesn't exist. There is no do thing.
Oh.
There is no do thing.
Thing do-
Theoretically, you could make there be a do thing. You just need to write an extension method to get into the internals, but
Yeah.
it's a lot easier to just do the two like that. Any other questions? I have a question. What if we want to know what else do tween does? Good question, me. You can go to the do tween documentation. Do tween is, unlike most things, do tween is very well documented. Their documentation is pretty in depth. It goes into all the detail. So if you just search up do tween documentation on Google or something, then you can see there'll be a big doc explaining everything to know about it and all the cool things it can do and all the cool things do tween Premium can do. I have not purchased do tween Premium. I'm not sponsored by do tween. I honestly would recommend just using the free version because it's cool enough as it is. Oh yeah, correct. Those are the 5 buttons I had. So then you can have your do tween adventure smooth and make things move and do cool things. What's your question?
How do you usually look at the documentation? You have a question.
I usually Google it. I'm not gonna show you Googling it because I don't know what's open in my browser right now. But you'd look up, I usually look up do tween documentation and then click the first link because it's, right there. I'm assuming it's pronounced do tween and not dot tween. It could be pronounced dot tween.
The O's have the O.
Dot ween. Yeah, it's clever too because like I usually like if I have a function that I need to use a coroutine for, like in Unity, I have the function that's not the coroutine, like die, for example, on the player. And then I call the coroutine do die.
Okay, if that's all, we can probably call the Zoom meeting.
Cool.
Nice.
Thank you for coming, Mason, specifically.
Thank you, Matt. Very informative.
Thank you, Matt, for teaching the workshop.
Yeah.
Creating this demo. Thank you, Bowen, back there for organizing it. and setting it up. I'm gonna end the Zoom meeting.
Awesome. Goodbye, Zoom, forever, ideally.